Hey, good morning everyone, and I'm live. Thank you so much for being here. I took a little bit of a break since my last live broadcast because I've had such a busy schedule, but now I am back. So I wanted to continue the conversation that I left off about a week and a half ago when I talked about the annual financial checkup, and should be your starting point so that you can have a better understanding of where you are in your personal finance, and that way you can make the changes that you want. So if this is the first time you're tuning in and watching me, my name is Kathy. I am a personal finance specialist, and I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. So I've actually been able to help a lot of clients gain better understanding on their personal finance. And my goal on my live broadcast is to just bring that information and expertise to my audience. My goal is to help you make wiser financial decisions. I know that the topic of personal finance is so complex and it can be overwhelming. So I hope that I can break that down to little bite-sized pieces and into baby steps so that you can gain a little bit more clarity and confidence so that you can take that step forward and build a better financial future. So the last time I left off in talking about different areas that you should do an annual checkup for, and that includes your credit, that includes your spending habits, how much your savings, also checking on your bank accounts and see who you currently have on there as a joint, as a beneficiary, and also to making sure that you have a goal in place. All of that is very important when you are trying to get your finance in order, because if you don't know where you're at right now, and it's very hard for you to make any changes at all. So that's why I encourage you to to tune in, and as I talk through these different areas of your life that you should actually checking into annually. And like I had mentioned before, it's an annual checkup. So just like you would do a checkup for your health or go to an annual checkup with the dentist, it's just really depends on what works for you. So for some people, it could be January 1st is when they're most motivated and when other people around them are making changes, and it inspires them to go for it and really make some changes. So that's great. That should be when you do your annual checkup. For others, if you're more inspired by, around your birthday when you're a year older, then that should be when you do your annual checkup. The point being, it doesn't matter when you start. You just have to do it, and you just have to do it once a year at least. So today's topic, what I really want to talk about is your annual credit checkup. This is so important, and it's one of the things that I talked about because credit is so important regardless if you want to believe it or not. It is one of the ways that you can get a loan. So unless you are wanting to pay cash for everything for the rest of your lives, including your home, your cars, then you don't need credit. But for the most of us that do need to borrow, get a loan for a home or for a car, and for those of us that needs like personal loans for different expenses, you do need credit. So that's going to be the topic that I'll be chatting with you about. And it's going to be very basic so that those of you that are watching, if you haven't had credit or if you're new to credit, this is going to be a great tool for you to help you better understand how to improve your credit and how to keep it safe. So we all know that we need credit, but I always get people asking, like, why do you really need it? Well, credit ratings and credit scores, it's very important because that is the only way the bank and the lenders, the people you're getting your credit cards from, that is the only way that they can kind of determine how worthy you are and determine how likely they will lend money to you. So think about it like this. if you're in college, right, and you're looking to transfer to a different, like a university or, to further your education, the first thing that they want to look at to see if they're willing to accept you into the school is by looking at your transcript. So that's kind of what a credit rating and a credit report is to a financial institution or to a lender. It helps them understand how you've been with your previous loans, how worthy you are, and how responsible you are with handling other loans that you've had. So this is important because if you have like a bad mark on there, it will tell the financial institution or the lender that you have not been responsible. So by doing keeping your credit rating good, it's awesome. Hey Tracy. And so also too, okay, so then I'm going to get to credit score. So I get a lot of people ask, what is a credit score? So a credit score, it's again, in reference, so for an example, it would be like your GPA. So it's a numeric number that they are going to rate you. So it can be anywhere between 450 to 850. So 450 being very low, and 850 meaning being excellent, like that's the highest score that you can get. So just like in school, when you are given like a GPA, so a 4.0 would be the highest that you can get. So it's kind of like a numeric rating of like overall. And this it's also known as a FICO score. So FICO, like a FICO score. And so you basically, when a creditor or a bank, runs your credit, it comes up with the number. So it's an overall rating to let you know on that scale where you stand. And for the most part, that would determine what type of interest rate they give you. So for instance, if you are somebody who have poor credit, most likely they are not going to lend to you. Or if you do have poor credit, they could give you the loan, but potentially you are looking at a much higher interest rate than somebody who say have like an 800 credit score. So that's the incentive for you to keep your credit rating, very good and constantly trying to improve on it. And the only way that you can really improve is understanding where you are. So that's why I encourage you to do this, credit check, because you have to get clear on what it is that you need to do to improve it. So another thing too is, so I also get asked a lot, like, what are the credit bureaus? Like, who are the people that are rating you? So there are 3 credit bureaus that typically report, your loans. It's 3 of them. They're Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Those are the 3 main credit bureaus that almost everybody will report to. So what you need to do annually. So what you need to do annually is you have to check on your credit, because what ends up happening is there are errors. They're just human. These credit bureaus deal with millions and billions of people. So there's bound to be some sort of error made. So what your job is, you have to check on it every single year, at least once a year, to make sure that everything is being reported under your name is accurate and correct. And if there are any discrepancies, you need to dispute it right away. And this, true story too, is my brother and sister, they used to live in the same household with the same address. But basically my brother has a middle initial that is the same letter as my sister's first name, and they both have the same last name. So what ended up happening is all of my brother's debt, like credit card debt, all of his loans that he's ever pulled out, at one point there was some sort of confusion in their names, and all of that was reported under my sister's name. So when she went to get a loan, they told her that she couldn't get one, even though she had such a good credit score, because she had 20 loans under her name and her income just didn't check out. So what she did was she actually went back online and took a look at it, and it turns out that there was an error in reporting. So, it happens, and it happens more often than we think. So to be responsible, you have to go and check it once a year, and you are entitled to a free credit report, one from each credit bureaus, once a year. So where you can go, and where I refer most of my clients, is you can go to annualcreditreport.com. I'll definitely leave a link in the comment section if you're interested in checking it out. Once you get there, it's going to require you to enter all of your personal information and to verify you, and then they'll give you a report. So on there, it will tell you every reporting that's ever done by like any credit cards that you've ever opened, and it'll tell you how you are doing on your payments. Like, are all of your payments on time? Did you have any late payments? So that should be really what you're looking for. And what you also want to take a look too is to make sure that all of the loans that are reported on there, they are yours and not like a mistake, or if something showed up on there that is like 10 years old and it shouldn't be on there, you should contact the credit bureau right away so they can get it adjusted. So yeah, that's one place to check. Now, I do want to mention though, the annualcreditreport.com website does not give you a physical FICO score. It's only a report to show you what is being what's being reported on there, but not actually a credit score. If I know that you shouldn't be paying for anything on annualcreditreport.com. However, if you are curious to know where your credit score is, what your credit score is, you could pay an additional fee for them to give that to you. And what they will have you do is sign up for like a monthly subscription. So if you don't want that, don't pay for anything, don't sign up for anything, just get the report. I know that there are websites out there like creditkarma.com, or I know that a lot of the main financial institutions do offer free credit score with like a credit card. So you like Capital One, I know Discover does it, Wells Fargo, I think they do it too. But you can totally, use that as a reference if they're giving you like a free credit score. That way you have a better understanding of where you are. One thing I also do want to mention too, though, it's even if you have young children, like minors in your family, you also want to do an annualcreditreport.com check for them as well too. In the past, I have actually dealt with a couple people that have children, they're 16, so obviously they can't apply for a loan, but they were a victim of identity theft. So somehow somebody got a hold of their name and their information and actually had applied loans under their name. So just because you have minor children, just because you know that your kids can't go out and get a loan yet, it doesn't hurt to do a check on their name and their social just to make sure that nothing's being reported. Because then down the line, when they go and get a loan, you're gonna save them a world of headache and a world of pain, because you don't want to wait until the day they're ready to go buy a car to have the credit ran and be told that they can't because there is a reporting on there that didn't belong to them. So just, you want to always be proactive, especially when it comes to your credit. Okay, what was I saying about Credit Karma? Yes. So so you can go use Credit Karma. You can use your financial institution that offers a free credit score to give you an idea of where you are. Now, I do want to be very, very clear. When you go to Credit Karma or when you get a free credit rating, it's not the real deal, right? It's not the real deal. Those scores are called consumer-based credit scores. So it's meant to give you an idea of where you are. So what that means is, if let's say you check your Credit Karma and it tells you have a credit score of like 750, right? And then you go and buy a car and they run your credit and they tell you that your credit is actually only 700. So there can be a discrepancy between what shows up on your Credit Karma and what is actually your credit when you go and apply for a loan. So so just keep in mind that that happens, and it happens all the time. The reason being is because the scores that are given to you, they're consumer based. So a lot of the factors that the banks and the lenders look at is going to be a little bit different than the score that's given to you. So, and you know, the thing with credit is it's really complex, and there are so many factors that go into determining what that credit score is. So, so that's why you're going to see that discrepancy. My advice is, you know, don't swear by the score that Credit Karma gives you, and just know that it could be different when you go to the bank or when you go down to the dealer. Excuse me. And but yeah, you know, Credit Karma is great. I've looked at it, and you know, I know that other financial institutions also give you know, credit scores. The one thing I do want to emphasize on, though, is you want to take advantage, because what you're really looking at, besides the physical score, is you want to look at the factors of what goes into formulating your credit score. So you know, so let's say, for instance, your credit score is determined by how well you make your payments. Is it on time? They also take into consideration, you know, your credit utilization percentage. So there are different factors, and when you look at your credit, you should be actually looking at the factors so it can help you improve in those areas, so you know what you need to do if you want to improve your credit score. So that's really my advice. I mean, I'll definitely go into a little bit more in details on a later broadcast to sort of explain a little bit more about what goes into formulating a credit score and what you need to do to improve it. So one last thing too is, you know, how do you start building your credit? So if this is you and you've never had any credit, you are working, you're an adult, and you know, either you never got a chance to, or you were taught not to owe money or not to loan anything. But either way, like I mentioned earlier, you do need a credit score. You know, unless you're planning on buying, using cash for every single purchase for the rest of your life, then I suggest start building your credit. And a great place to start is by getting a secured credit card or a secured loan of some sort from your financial institution. A lot of places don't offer secured loans anymore just because it's not as profitable, but if you can search around, there are some that could still offer that. And the other alternative would be to have a cosigner. So when you have somebody with, you know, income and credit strength that's able to help you co-sign, it would also help as well too. You just even if you're let's say, even if somebody's co-signing for you, you still get credit for every payments that's made on the loan. So there's no harm, you know, if you can get somebody to co-sign, that would be wonderful. And then once you start to establish your credit, you can always remove them off from the loan. So that's my tip in kind of getting you started if you don't have any sort of credit score, and you know, and you just kind of want to get back on track. So that's all I have for now. Oh, one more thing I do want to mention too, though. No matter how much you have in your bank account, it does not affect your credit score. I get asked all of the time. So if it doesn't matter if you have $100,000 sitting in your checking account, it's not going to change your credit score or credit rating. So it's great to have that in your bank account as like an asset, but it's not going to directly change your credit score or credit report. So I just want to make that also very clear. For credit ratings and credit reports, you have to borrow money from somebody to be able to build your credit. So having money in a checking account and having money in your checking account doesn't affect that at all. It doesn't change it. It's just two separate things. So yeah, that's kind of what I have for now. If you're just joining in, I'm about to hop off, so feel free to catch the replay. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I know it's like midday and a lot of people are at work, but I will be keeping this on the replay. And also too, if you're new and you're just joining in, please check out the previous video where I talked about different areas of your annual financial checkup. So if you have any comments, please leave them below. And if you know anybody who is looking to improve and their financial life and want to get started, please share this video with them. I would love to hear more from you guys. So thank you so much, guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.